Hello, big welcome to you. What I'm going to look at in today's vlog is coins, or largely it's about coins. I've called them lucky coins, which is probably how you know of them. But really I should be saying magical coins. And that's because, particularly in Indonesia, coins are associated with all forms of magic. They're not simply talisman for luck. I guess chronologically it would make sense to first of all talk about barter and barter tokens, and these along with coins are believed to have magical properties in Indonesia. So the first example you see is of barter weights, which almost certainly aren't anything like as old as the oldest coins in Indonesia. However, these weights did come from the river Solo, which is particularly important to Kejawen practitioners and therefore have an added magical property to them. And now, I hesitated somewhat when I said chronologically, because like these barter weights, most barter items are not as old as the oldest coins. Now, in part, this reflects that the earliest coins were seen as magical items more so than mediums of exchange. It also reflects a lack of coins available for exchange. Bronze coins or tokens in East Java have been attributed to the Majapahit kingdom. These have a cross on them, and these tokens that you see here have a cross on them, although on the Majapahit coins it's more like a flower design. But they nevertheless do look a lot like the Majapahit Massa coin. Traditionally these coins have only been found in gold and silver, and this is a ceramic, it looks to be clay. Often Massa coins are concave, just as this token is. On the obverse of the coin is a kendi, a traditional water jug in the Majapahit style. I doubt if these are actually Majapahit objects, but there's certainly some age to them. It's possible, I was going to say it's possible that some Massa coins were minted in China, but I think that's probably wrong. I suspect these are sort of ceramic copies of Massa coins. They may have been used for barter, they may simply have been used for their mystical properties. Now, I think the ideas about barter also represent our misconceptions about barter. I personally don't believe the story that we're all told at school, that money developed to facilitate barter. I believe it was developed to facilitate the collection of taxes. Because prior to taxes there was no concept of surplus. How can you tax when there is no surplus, when people just have their daily needs and live by their daily needs? So I don't think people were actually engaged in that much exchange before coins began to be minted. They were much more engaged in sharing because there wasn't this idea of a surplus. So these barter, maybe they're not used for barter, but they're buckshots with Islamic dua or prayers on them. So they could have been used as barter items, or maybe simply they're mystical items, but they'd certainly have been seen alongside coins at the time. Now, the history of coins in Indonesia really starts off with the Chinese. During the 13th century, the Majapahit Empire started trading with the Tang Dynasty of China, And as a result, they received Chinese coin, known as pikis, pikjis or gobok. In Indonesia, coins really are used in superstitions and rituals, which hence the name magic coins. A local cash-based coin amulets based on these coins, a very similar place in Indonesian cultures as they do in Chinese and in Chinese culture. So many of these amulets date back to the Majapahit period, and they were used by both the ethnic Chinese and the native population. However, the Chinese population buried their dead in pots, surrounded by these coins. So it's often very common to find these coins in very poor condition. Due to the weather in Indonesia, that graves would regularly be flooded, and these coins will normally come from grave robberies. Of course, the fact that they come from graves gives them a special magical properties in the mind of Indonesians. Chinese coins continued to circulate in the archipelago for centuries, until the Ming Dynasty banned trade with the region, and many local rulers started creating their own imitations of these Chinese coins. Often these are quite easy to tell, they're of inferior quality, often much thinner. And these coins produced in Indonesia were made of various metals, copper alloy, lead, but most commonly tin, and can be very poor quality indeed. And many of these Chinese coins have a hole in the middle, as they were hung on a string, and often the weight of them, more so than the number of coins, denoted their value. As a result of the way they're cast in a sort of tree-type shape, you'll often find a clipped edge, or remnants of that tree trunk, if you like, on the coin, or even coins joined together at an edge. Now, these coins are still very popular with the Chinese Indonesians and indeed the Chinese. They're still being cast in China. Sometimes they're used for funerary rites, although they're more likely just to be seen as lucky coins because of paper joss or hell notes are much more commonly used by the Chinese in funerary rites. Some of the earliest examples you'll see of these sort of Chinese copies coming from the Palembang Sultanate in Sumatra. They're known as Palembang pitis, and they started around 1659 under the reign of Sultan Abdul Rahman Kaifital Mukmin Saidul Iman, until the Sultanate was finally abolished by the Dutch in 1823, and the territory was then fully integrated into the Dutch East Indies. Official issue had to be approved by the Sultan himself. So most pitis have an inscription, something like Sultan fi Balad Palembang Sanat, and the date, the Sultan of Palembang date, written in Malay, but none actually featured the name of the ruling Sultan, meaning that the only way to date these is by using the Islamic calendar. Strangely enough, often the production was outsourced to local Chinese population, and because they didn't use the Arabic script, they used Chinese characters and Chinese production technology to manufacture these pitis. Generally speaking, pitis were made of tin alloy with lead, except there was one bronze issue. The pitis coins of Palembang could be divided into two categories, based on whether they had a hole in it, like the Chinese ones, or not. The whole ones were known as pitis tebo, and the coins without the hole Pitis Buntu. The Pitis Tebo were strung together like the Chinese coins, which were already circulated, while the non-hole ones were packaged in leaves to form a box known as a kupat. The value of the Pitis was based on the Spanish dollar and the Dutch East Indies Duten. In fact, this Duten, duit is the name, slang name for money, still used in Indonesia. The Pitis Tebo were strung together in strings of 500 coins on a rattan, and a string was referred to as a chup. The Pitis Buntu were packaged per 250 coins in a kupat. During the colonial era, the kupat was worth 20 duiten, or 1/16 of the Spanish dollar, while a chup was worth 40 duiten, or 1/8 of the Spanish dollar. Having said that, the value of the Pitis was also dependent on the actual size of the coins, with the standard size of the Pitis Tebo around 15 millimetres. However, most Pitis coins were either box of leaves or strung together very tightly. Most traders couldn't see the actual coins themselves and their values, so it's very much an act of trust. And that explains why some of the unofficially produced Pitis were very crude indeed, and some were even made without features. This is very true of low value coins within strings or boxes of leaves, which could not be examined too carefully by those handling them. Again, a major source of these Pitis comes from graves, hence they're often well worn, but also, hence, they hold a very special magical significance. I probably ought to talk of Javanese or Majapahit coins now, but I'm going to talk about Balinese coins because of the connection to China. The Chinese coins have a very special significance to the Balinese. Ceremonies in Bali are often not considered complete without the presence of these Chinese coins, and they're used in all sort of Balinese rituals. The quantities, however, have been steadily decreasing, while of course the demand has been increasing, and this has led to rocketing of prices in Bali. After Indonesian independence, coins remained in daily use of the Balinese people well after the introduction of the Indonesian rupiah. Indeed, these coins were used by Balinese people up until around 1970, when they were used to buy things like household essentials at marketplace, as well as food, small items. Now, the decline in stock is because during certain rituals, such as Lungangbang or Butakala, these cash coins cannot be reused in other ceremonies. Now, they're also melted down and turned into dolls, or pisbolong in Balinese. Pisbolong is the name of the coins. Strung together with cotton threads, and which would guarantee that the organs and body parts of the deceased would be in the right place during reincarnation. They're also commonly sewn into garments, particularly wedding dresses. And now, this horse coin, I'm not too certain, but I think it might relate to the Jaranggoyang love pellet that I'd normally associate with Java. I mean, I could be wrong that this isn't a Balinese coin and it is minted in Java, although it was bought in Bali as a Balinese coin. The higher demand for authentic Chinese coins meant that local Balinese produced their own, often rough duplicates, smaller in size and weight and thinner. The traditional Chinese characters on them can be vague or have disappeared. But they have slowly developed, in common with the Javanese, to put other sort of characters, such as Wayang characters. And this one depicts the Punakawan, probably Bagong and Petruk. These are the clown puppets in Wayang, which also would include Semi-Messen. And therefore I associate them with good luck. On the obverse is a gadger or elephant and what looks to be a crescent moon. And the writing is probably ancient Balinese, although if I'm wrong about it, it looks remarkably like ancient Javanese as well. The next Wayang coin depicts Arjuna and Sirakandi from the Mahabharata, and it's associated with strength and overcoming one's enemies. The dealer themselves claimed it was Chinese, but I don't believe that. I think it's either a Chinese gobog restruck with a Wayang in Bali, but most, so in other words, an old Chinese coin has been restruck with these characters on it. But most probably, I think it was just a coin that's minted in Bali. Well, having skipped to Bali, let's return to Majapahit. Slowly local designs emerged, and even when used for payment, they were often only used by noble families as tokens without a fixed exchange value. As these Majapahit coins developed, they often had a religious significance. So the first coin shows Ganesh or Ganesha, and I believe it to be Buddha. Now, during the Majapahit period, and even today, particularly in Java, Hinduism is very much mixed with Buddhism. And now that may seem strange to the Western listener, but what I have to say is it more reflects our lack of understanding of these belief systems and our, is it our wish? Let's say our wish to sort of understand them through the eyes of Christianity, because there isn't actually anything strange about that. So we see here the Majapahit Surya or sun mandala, which shows a seated Buddha, who, along with Hindu deities, were worshipped during this rule. The Majapahit Surya or sun is the classic motif which is used to denote the dynasty. The obverse is blank, which, as I've said before, was very common for early Indonesian coins, especially for gobok. As things moved on, then, needless to say, it moved to Islam. And this very special coin depicts the Wali Songo. These are the 9 saints who brought Sufism to Java, including Sunan Ampel, Sunan Gresik, also known as Maluna Malik Ibrahim, Sunan Giri, Sunan Bonang, who wrote songs for the Gamelan Orchestra, Sunan Drajat, who also wrote songs for the Gamelan Orchestra, Sunan Kudus, who invented Wayang Golek puppetry, Sunan Khalid Jaga, who merged Wayang Kulit and Gamelan with Islam and is the most respected saint within Kejawen, Sunan Maria, and Sunan Gunung Jati, founder and first ruler of the Cirebon Sultanate. Now, following the Majapahit era, Java continued minting magical coins, particularly of local legends and Wayang characters. So the first coin we see here is a Panji and Chandrakyara. Panji was a local prince from Janggala in East Java, and he was arranged to be married to Princess Chandrakyara from the competing kingdom of Kendiri, also in East or East Central Java. Chandrakyara was said to have disappeared before the wedding, and there are various Wayang and Wayang Gedog mask stories about his search for his bride. Although these stories are known all across Southeast Asia, they're particularly popular in the Javanese heartland from Cirebon to Bali. And this gobog would be particularly useful when seeking true love. The next one depicts Hanuman, the Hindu god and divine Vanara companion of the god Rama. Hanuman is one of the central characters of the Hindu epic, the Ramayana, and therefore is a very popular wayang in Indonesia. Such a coin could have many magical properties, but amongst them would be strength, emotional balance, protection from demons. So most likely it's used as a protection amulet. The Semi-Messen Coin depicts Sema character. In Javanese magic, he's attributed with special powers which are involved in casting spells, especially related to love. Semar is a very popular comical character in Wayang, based on a fallen god who's believed to have created Java. Indeed, he's believed to be the founder of Java, and therefore protector of the Javanese, hence its mystical connections. Now, these Wali Songa coins are so important that they're still being minted today, as are Yasin coins, which are traditionally given to travellers on the Hajj pilgrimage. And you can see on the front of this one, it shows an elderly pilgrim. The reverse depicts a single sword, and swords are traditionally shown on the reverse. This one just shows one. Alternatively, this other one shows an elderly pilgrim walking with the aid of sticks, and Arabic script is on the reverse. Now, of course, coins that are in circulation are also believed to have magical properties. And then there are amulets which feature coins, and of course finally we ought to talk about paper currency. So this Malay coin, although it's probably from Sumatra, what I need to explain to you is most people in Sumatra are ethnically Malay. It depicts a jago, which is a fighting cock, and is therefore believed to bring the hold of virility. And now this Raja Brooks coin is a Sarawak 1 cent copper coin circa 1884. Now Raja Brooks was the English-born king of Borneo, and is therefore held in high esteem and believed to have very mystical powers to make the owner of this coin very powerful. Because of their magical qualities, coins are often incorporated into other amulets, such as this Dayak amulet from Borneo. And then there's this Javanese jimat, which I believe takes on the qualities of magical coins, but is made from the mystical Besi Kuning alloy. Originally, this Besi Kuning alloy is believed to have come from the gates of the Sultan's palace, or the Kraton, in Jogja or Yogyakarta, which is the most mystical place for Kejawen believers. Something you'll find fairly commonly in Indonesia is notes with doa written on them for wealth. Now, a doa is a prayer, often directly taken from Al-Quran, and you'll always find them written in Arabic. In fact, these are so common that the Indonesian government did issue a note with a Doha watermark on it. This note was also heat sensitive, which caused it to curl up in the palm of the hand. Now these are highly, highly sought after, and as a result are very, very widely copied. Well, I really hope you've enjoyed this. Because these are real events, I can't say how regularly I'm going to be adding to this subsection. Because I don't know how often they're going to occur. But I would imagine that they'll be at least every couple of months, maybe monthly. Now, if you'd like to know when that's going to be, please subscribe and hit the button, and you'll get information on when new ones are released. I'd love you to make comments and ask questions, and if you do, I'll attempt to answer them as honestly as I can. I promise you that there's no attempt on this channel, or this part of this channel, of me. There'll be no attempt by me at any type of subterfuge. I'll try to be as honest and open as I possibly can be. Inevitably, there will be some of you who disagree with my interpretation, and we can agree to disagree. But what you're seeing is real stuff here. What I'd love you to do, if you enjoyed this, is look at my other sections. Particularly, I've written novels about magic in Java, and they contain much more information in them, especially me trying to understand the theories of magic, the psychology of it, and I try and intersperse them with a sort of spiritual dimension. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and God bless you.